Greetings from Cybertron. I hope your Tuesday's off to a great start. Another episode of Build Optimus Prime is coming at you today on Brickscale Studio. Welcome back to Brickscale Studio. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jeff. It is lovely to have you here. So today is the day we are doing the final assembly for the scale model of Generation 1 Optimus Prime. So we're going to take those components we made a couple weeks ago, plus the chest and arm assembly that we made last week, and we are going to be putting that all together along with installing the circuit board, getting the wiring hooked up, and all that good stuff. Super exciting episode. So definitely let's get into the build, and then we can talk about it after.
Autobots, roll out!
Okay, so here we are starting the final assembly episode, episode 23. So I'm going to be doing this a little out of order from what the instructions are because I'm going to need to change the camera angle at some point like we did back in a few episodes ago when we attached that body section. I had to move the camera up. We're going to have to definitely do the same thing again. So I'm going to do some of these steps. Some of them are gluing in some pieces, so that will give them a time to dry before we need them, and then assembling the circuit board and everything. And then once we get that all done, then I'll move the camera and we will start in with building the final robot. All right, so I have some parts laid out here. These are just the parts we're going to need for the final assembly. These we are not going to need at the moment. Those will be attached toward the end. These two pieces I need to attach these little grill pieces, glue them inside, and then on this piece we need to attach some little metal plates for some magnets to stick to. And then here's our circuit board, so that's what I'm going to do first. So let's get this open. All right, perfect. And it's pretty obvious how it goes. There's a longer row of plugs and then a shorter row and then here on the end. So it can only go in one way because obviously you want these plugs exposed here, the longer one and the shorter one. All right. And then this piece is just going to go right on top like that. And again, the same screws. All right, so there is the circuit box, and they are labeled here on the top. So we know, remember last episode we had put all those stickers on the wire. So this is where we'll be plugging those in. So I'm going to set that to the side, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over these two pieces. One is labeled number 1, one is labeled number 2, and then on the back of these is a 1 and a 2, so obviously you just want to match those up and just push that on like so, and that's looking like that. So we'll just set that aside to dry. Just put that on looking like so. And then the last thing we need to do is we have these two little metal plates. So we just want to put some glue in here. Just like so. And we can let that dry. All right, so that is all of our sort of pre-production things that we can do. So these parts will get glued on once we have the body and the chest piece connected. So I'm going to, well, it's just going to be a cut for you, a split second, but I'm going to stop the camera and raise everything up, and hopefully we can get this whole thing in one shot. It's very big. Like I've mentioned before, it's like a small child. So hopefully we can get it all in view, but we'll be right back. All right, so Welcome back. I've changed the camera angle. Hopefully this will work, and hopefully if you see mess on the floor or whatever, I apologize, but this was the best camera angle I could come up with where I could still get in and work on stuff and you could see the whole thing. And you're only seeing from the waist up. Like, this thing is tall. I am not kidding you. I'm 6'2", and as this thing is standing on the table, it's coming up to my chin. And we haven't even put the head on yet. So it is very large. All right, so as you can see, I've already put the chest and arm assembly on top of the body that we did last time. So that just sits on here, and we're going to put that in with 6 PB 2x6x8 screws. Okay, that is the last one. All right, now in the instructions, the next step is to attach the head. However, there is a note that says, in the next steps, you will plug the cables within the chest section into the circuit board. The images show the head section being attached before the cables are plugged in. However, you might find it easier to complete steps 2 through 5, which is not attaching the head, before coming back to step 1 to plug in the cables from the head and then fitting it. When you are ready to attach the head to the body, support the head while you plug the cables into the corresponding sockets in the circuit board. Try not to pull on the plugs as the wiring can be fragile. Once the 3 head cables are connected, align the screw holes and secure using 2 PB 2x3x in the back and 4 PB 2x6 in the front. All right, so remember we have our circuit box here. So let's attempt to plug in our cables, except for the head. We're going to do the head last, which is kind of what they're suggesting, even though their instructions say to do it now and then plug everything in. Also, the one thing that's crazy is these cables for the feet. There is so much excess, like we're going to be cramming that all in, so that is crazy. So these are labeled, obviously, so I'm going to just start from one side here and just start plugging these in. All right out the gate, one thing I'm going to tell you that's kind of annoying is there is a lip on the black box, and the plugs are kind of recessed, so it's a little annoying trying to push these in. All right, so that is all the chest lights and the feet. Those are plugged in. Now we want 11 and 12. Okay, so the only ones left are the head pieces, which are going to come around on this side. Hold up. So we also have this piece with our little matrix that we will need to plug into the box as well. So that's going to be a little tricky, because that will need to be plugged in before we push the box in. This whole assembly is just weird to me, because in the next episode, we're going to be building another one of these matrix. And also the fact that this is held in with a magnet, like you can pull it out. However, it's going to be plugged in to the circuit board, so you can't pull it out. So yeah, it's very strange. But let's deal with that after we get the head. So here is the head. So they show kind of just laying him like so while you put these in. So number 3. Okay, so the only one left is the matrix, which again is going to be weird because I have to, it says to attach the headpiece first. However, this plug is for the matrix is going to be facing toward the back, so I won't have access to it once I attach the head. Because the way they're showing this is, yeah, they definitely have all of these facing the front when you put this in. And they do not say anything, they do not address this at all. So yeah, I just think, again, I think this whole section is just crazy. Well, actually, we can get the head sort of secured here before pushing that box in. All right, so 2x3x6 in the back. I'm gonna just tip his head forward. All right, so we got one side in. So we got the other side in. So I'm going to loosen these just a little bit till I get the sides in. So the sides are going in with 2x6x6. That one in. And I do apologize, I'm not showing this very well, but again, the previous episode last week, we're going down in these sort of dark crevices and everything is black. So yeah, it's like you can't even see in there anyway, and there'd be no way I could get the camera in there. All right, so we got the head secure. We want to put this piece in, but first we need to connect. What if we pull out the matrix of leadership? So this is how we can just take the cable and attach it. Okay, perfect. All right, so now so let me see how this is going to fit in here with all of these wires. Now I'm going to tell you this, these 5 and 6 wires are crazy long, and I don't know why. So I think that is going to be like one of our problems. All right, so all right, perfect. That just goes right in there. And I think that's going to give me enough room. All right, so I got one started. Let me go over here. All right, so now we have that in. So let me see if I can hopefully reconnect this. All right, well, let me turn this my way a little. All right, there we go. All right, so we got that in. I'm going to move this back just a little. All right, so now we need these two pieces, and they are labeled 1 and 2, and these are going to just fit right on there like so, but it wants us to put a little glue. And yeah, honestly, I don't even know if you need any glue on these. If that's the one thing I kind of found with this model is sometimes the pieces they want you to put glue on, you really don't need to, because they hold in very secure. And then other times, the ones they don't want you to put glue on, those are the ones that you're like, oh my gosh, this is not even staying in here. Okay, so we got those. So next is going to be this piece. bring him back up here. So yeah, it won't really fit on this way, but if you turn it this way and then rotate it, and 2x6x6. Okay. All right, and now we want to take our two pieces that we glued earlier, and we're going to glue them, but let me just do a dry fit here. So this one's going to go on this side, and this one's going to go on this side. So obviously, the way the little pegs are, you can't really, I mean, they can only go on one way. Perfect. All right, and now we have this one last piece, which is this piece, and it is going right like so. And again, it wants us to put a little glue on these posts, which we will. All right, and that's going right there. Just like so. And then if we close these, that is the completed Optimus Prime. Oh my gosh. Wow. Super exciting. And so we will, I'm going to take a picture for the recap because there's no way I'm getting this all on camera. That's just too crazy. But this is the finished Optimus Prime, and my goodness, does he look great or what? Wow. All right, so on to the Lego portion.
Autobots, roll out.
Okay, here we are on the Lego side. So just in case you were wondering, in the finale episode, I will be showing all of the features of Optimus Prime, the scale model. Spoiler alert, I did test everything out and it all works spectacularly. It is so awesome. So I can't wait for you to see that in the finale. But today, let's finish on the Lego side. So last week we finished the blaster. And today we're going to start working on a jetpack, which the scale model does not have. And there is a note in the Lego manual that says that this jetpack is based on Sideswipe's jetpack from the G1 cartoon. Optimus Prime borrowed it in the episode More Than Meets the Eye Part 3 to pursue the Decepticon space cruiser Victory. So this is actually Sideswipe's jetpack that Optimus Prime borrowed, but we're getting it in Lego, so let's start building it. Today we're going to work through steps 379 through 395. Okay, that is through 395, so that is what we have so far for the jetpack. So we will continue work on this in the next episode. So that will do it for the Lego side. Okay, so this recap's going to be a little weird because the full scale model obviously will not fit on this table in this configuration with the camera. So I will post a picture of it. But in the Lego portion, we started on this jetpack, so we'll continue with that on the next episode. I love this little printed piece here. And then over on the scale model side, we completed the full robot, and then specifically in this episode, we attached the chest and arms to the body, and then we attached all of the wiring and the circuit board. We put in the chest piece with the matrix of leadership. We attached the head. We put all the trim pieces on, and we have a finished robot. So that will do it for episode 23. All right, so before we get into the chit-chat about the final assembly, let's do our summary really quick. So on the scale model side, 14 steps and 13 parts. On the Lego side, 28 steps and 83 parts. Total to date, 747 steps and 891 parts on the scale model side. And on the Lego side, 575 steps and 1,451 parts. So that is the finished Optimus Prime scale model, and it is amazing. I will say I was super apprehensive going into this episode because my previous experience with the DeLorean, the way the final assembly went on that was very stressful, very crazy. But this went together surprisingly easy, I thought. And then of course the end results are just fantastic. Like, I can't wait. So next week, obviously we won't be seeing Optimus Prime. We'll be working on those 3 accessories, the Matrix of Leadership, the Energon Axe, and the Blaster. And then on the Lego side, today we started the jetpack, and then we'll finish that up next week, and we'll be done. And then the week after, we will have a finale episode where we go over everything and sort of recap what we did over this build series. So yeah, super exciting. The final model turned out great. So I can't wait to show it off in the finale. But until then, if you are new here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. And for both of you, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to hit some subscriber milestones so we can give away some free Lego. And of course, remember the poll that is out on the YouTube channel site. Go to the channel's page and go to posts. And there is a poll. So we're taking a poll to see what our next build is going to be. So if you want to be in part of the decision making for that, head over there and vote. I'll be announcing the winner in a couple of weeks. Probably the week after we finish the finale video, we'll sort of do an announcement video of what the next build will be. But until then, happy building, take care, be kind to each other, and I'll see you very soon.